Well, hello everybody. Jeff Cowan here from Jeff Cowan's Pro Talk, the person that's trained more successful service advisors than anybody else on the planet. It's a fact. Check it out. Hey, I'm back here today with a new edition of my podcast entitled Right Service, Write Your Own Paycheck, the path to making over $100,000 a year when writing service in the automotive industry. And here's another fact. At this very recording, just over 20% of you doing that job are making over $100,000 a year. But here's another fact. That means that nearly 80% of you doing that job are not. So what do we do about that? Well, like I always recommend, watch this podcast. Go back and watch the over 100 podcasts I've filmed in the past. Go to my website, automotiveservicetraining.com, automotiveservicetraining.com, and you will find all the tools, techniques, processes, and word tracks you need to become the absolute best you can be in the business. I guarantee it. I guarantee it. Well, I'm going to answer a question for you today. Here's what today's podcast revolves around. One question. This is a question that I've gotten every single day I've been in the business over the last 35 years as a consultant. I get it over and over and over and over. We kind of addressed it about 6 weeks ago with a podcast, but since then, my phone has lit up. My texting has blown out my phone. I'm getting emails all the time. Every event that I go to, convention, dealer 20 meeting, workshop, everybody's asking this question today more than they ever have. And here's the question. It's one that I know you've probably been asking yourself, and that is, how do I find technicians? Well, before COVID hit, it was hard enough. Since COVID hit, it has become really tough for the people who aren't prepared. But if you take the advice I'm going to give you today, we can take this question, we can take this problem, we can take this concern and put it to bed forever if you want to. I mean, this is totally in your control. If you want to get rid of this question and get rid of this problem forever, I'm going to give you a surefire way that works every single time. Never seen it fail. If you want to do it, it'll work for you. Before I get into the 3 steps it's going to take for you to solve that problem forever, I want to talk about this. You know, when I sold shoes well over 35 years ago, I worked for a chain that had 4 locations in the city of Indianapolis, north, south, east, and west. Everybody wanted to sell shoes on the west side. A few years after that, I sold furniture, and the furniture chain that I worked for, they had 8 locations in and around Indianapolis. Again, basically spread out the same type of thing, north, south, east, and west. In that scenario, everybody wanted to be on the north side. When I wrote service, I worked for a dealer group that had several stores, and everybody wanted to be at the Chevy store. Now, I'm not saying that Chevy's the place you should write service or whatever, but for that time period, for that group, for what was going on in Indianapolis, everybody that was in that group wanted to be at that store. So why did everybody want to be on the west side selling shoes, north side selling furniture for that company or at that Chevrolet store? Simple. It's because they had traffic and they had leadership and they had the best opportunity for the most serious of the serious, hard-working salespeople to make the most amount of money. It was the opportunity. It was a winning team. They had leadership. That's why people wanted to work on those locations. Now, let's take a look at something else. Let's take a look at the sports world. You know, every player coming out of college these days, going into the NFL, you know, if you ask them, every one of them wants to play for the LA Rams. You know, if you look at the new recruits coming out coming into Major League Baseball, where do they all want to play? They all want to be a Yankee. For those who are into IndyCar racing, like I am, I love IndyCar racing, the Indy 500. If you're a driver in the IndyCar, what team do you want to drive for? Roger Penske, Penske Racing. Now, just like I said up here, when it comes to where I wanted to work, why do these athletes want to play for those teams and those organizations? Why? Because it gives them the best shot at being successful, winning, getting titles, getting worldwide fame. And because these organizations have proven they got leadership, they got processes, they've got the winning way. So the best of the best want to be there. So what we've got to do is we got to make you Penske Racing, we got to make you the New York Yankees, we got to make you the LA Rams, we got to make you the best place to want to work at. So how do we do that? Well, there's 3 steps, okay? Now, so let's just jump into it. 3 steps. First one, okay, now this one's a little bit longer, takes a little bit longer than my final step, but this is how it starts, okay? I want you to start to recruit And I want you to recruit from junior high and high school. We're going to start this early. We got to get inside the next generations and the generation before them. We got to get in their head and make them understand that we have something to offer. Now, I'll never forget, they did this back when I was in school, the school system I was in way back in the day. In junior high, they had career days. Most places didn't have them until you were a senior in high school. These people started in 7th and 8th and 9th grade. We had career days every year. Same thing when we got to high school. And you know what? It made huge impacts on what people wanted to do. I actually have many, many friends that saw a presentation in 7th or 8th grade made by somebody coming in talking about the career they were in and they wanted to bring you into, and get these people so excited that on those days, 7th and 8th graders made lifelong decisions that that's what they were going to do, and they did it, and they've done it, and they've retired from it. Now, what made the difference? What made the difference is who came in and made the presentation. For example, the police force was always interesting to come in because they'd bring in their police drill team, with their motorcycles, and they'd do tricks out in the parking lot for us. They'd bring in their cruisers and let us see all the stuff that was going on around it. They'd bring in their guard dogs. That was exciting to young kids, even people in high school. Another one was the military. The military did really well at recruiting out of our schools. Why? I remember one year they bought like the National Marine Band. That was cool. And they would typically, when the military would come in, they typically would take over the auditorium for 2 hours and have an all-school convocation. And what they would do is they'd bring in somebody from each branch of the military, and they would talk about what their branch had, and they'd show these videos. Back then it was film of jets and tanks and guns and all that stuff. And it was incredible. All right. So you got to start early, but when you go in, you got to be excited. Maybe you send a great tech in that's got great communication skills, and they take in some really super high-speed cars, high-performance cars or big trucks and stuff like that, and they talk about them, razzle-dazzle them, okay? So that's step one. You got to start recruiting. You got to recruit young, junior high, high school, okay? Step two. This is extremely important. And we talked about this several weeks ago. I've talked about this so many times it's not funny. But instead of what you're looking for, these techs that are already out there in the field, instead of telling them what you need them to do, tell them what you have to offer them. Tell them what you have to offer them. Run ads that say something like, our techs have our average tech has a 3,500 square foot house that sits on 1.3 acres of land. They have a truck sitting in their driveway that's worth $50,000. They get 2 weeks paid vacation. They have a benefit package that rivals the largest industries in the world. And our average technician has been with us for over 20 years and loves it here. What do you have to offer them? Okay, if you want to draw the best, sure, it's about money, and that's one of the big things we're getting. It's techs are asking for more money because of inflation and the way things are all screwed up today, right? But it's not always about the money. It's about what do you have to offer them? Do you have leadership? Do you have accountability? Do you have an opportunity for them? What do you have to offer them? Okay, so that's the first two steps. You got to recruit young, and then what do you have to offer them? And then step three. Now, you want to hang out here for step three because step three is the one that's going to solve. If you do these first two things, that's great, but this next one's going to solve your problem right away. Within 90 days, you can solve this problem. Within 90 days, if not sooner. But before I tell you what step three is, I got to do an ad. Gosh darn it. So I'm going to stick with an ad I did last week. For years I've gotten on here and I've told you about what we have to offer you and all that stuff and whatever, but I kind of flipped around and I wanted to share with you what you, the consumer, thinks of us. Okay, so let's just take a look at this year, January 1st through April 15th. January 1st through April 15th. Check this out. Here's what happens at Pro Talk. Do you know over 500 people in that time frame, over 500 live bodies came to a workshop and sat in the classroom where I taught a workshop? Over 500 people between the first of the year and April 15th. Do you know that since January 1st through April 15th, 375 rooftops have started using my new virtual training? My new virtual training, 375 rooftops. And more signing up every single day. 375. This is the one I've been telling you about that I just put about $250,000 into updating. It is state of the art. It addresses today's customer. It's been adjusted for the COVID mindset. It's got everything in it. People are loving it, and you will too. Here's something else that's happened since January 1st through April 15th. Nearly 4,000 people have started using that online training that we were talking about. Check this out. Since between January 1st and April 15th, that my expert trainers with an average of 30 years in the business themselves who have in retail, do you know my trainers have been on over 80 different service drives from January 1st through April 15th? Do you know that as they've been doing that, from January 1st to April 15th, 480 people were trained live on the drive by my expert trainers? And did you know that during that same time frame, April 1st through April 15th, 210 managers were trained live by my trainers at their workplace? And did you know this? Did you know that for over 35 years ago, you see, there was no formal processes that are set up for service advisors and how to sell and how to handle customers, and there was no processes for the express lubes and BDCs and managers and all that stuff. Did you know that over 35 years ago, I created the niche? And you know, throughout that 35 years, I've been the only guy to stay in business that long. And I'm the only guy that constantly and consistently reinvests in his training, updates it for what's going on today with your customers. Over and over and over. I mean, I invest lots of money into it. I was the first one out on the service drive where we go out and we spend 85% of our time standing on service drives side by side with advisors, coaching, critiquing, role-playing, and writing service. I personally have been over 700 service drives. As a company, we've been over 4,500 service drives over that time. We're the first ones that did that, and the only ones that really do it the way we do it even today. First ones to be on DVD, first one to offer live workshops, first one to be online, first one to broadcast their workshops live, and on and on and on. Number one, number one, number one. Now you might be asking yourself, why have all this stuff happened? Why do people buy our training? Why do people come to our workshops? Why do people let we work with them and keep coming back and letting us work with them? Well, obviously because, I'll give you a hint, we're the best and we get the numbers. But if you want more detail on why so many people love and trust us and invest with us, dial 1-800-248-2931. 1-800-248-2931. And anybody that picks up that phone would be more than happy to share with you why so many people trust us with their business and their advisors and their service team. If you want, you can go to automotiveservicetraining.com, automotiveservicetraining.com, and find out there why. Or if you want to, hell, call me. Here's my cell phone number, 317-506-1003, 317-506-1003. Now, the difference is you call me, I travel a lot, so if I don't pick right up, then I'll call you back within 24 hours, and it's more likely that's going to happen than not. But if you call and I'm available, I'll talk to you all day long. I'd love to tell you why so many people have done and continue to do business with us, and why so many manufacturers choose us. Just got a new manufacturer's deal, by the way. All right, so back to the message here. How do we finally take this tech problem and put it to bed forever for you? Well, I told you there was 3 steps. The first one was we got to start recruiting, recruit young. We're talking junior high and high school. And when you go in and recruit on career day, you're going to make it exciting. You're going to take cars, you're going to take trucks, and you're going to show these kids, you know, what's really cool about being a tech. Step 2, for the people that are already techs, if you want them to come to your store, you have to show them what you have to offer them. What does your average tech have? What kind of house they have? What kind of car do they drive? What kind of lifestyle they have? You want to share with them that that's what you can do for them. And you want to share with them how long people stay at your business. That's the first 2 steps. But here's the one that's going to put this to bed for you forever. And it can happen for you within 90 days. Within 90 days. No kidding around. But you're going to have a heart. And you're going to have to really, really want to do it. And you're going to have to really be in the mindset of, I'm stop making excuses, and I'm going to take the first step today and make this happen, and never, ever, 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 ever times 10 have to worry about finding techs again. All right, so what you need to do is this simple. You need to prove to them that you are a leader and you have the best opportunity for them to make money. You have to prove to them, let me say it again, you need to prove to them that you are a leader and you have the best opportunity for them to make money. It's just like when I sold shoes. I wanted to be on the west side. Why? Because they had the most traffic and the best managers. When I sold furniture, I wanted to be on the north side. You want to know why? They had the most traffic and the best managers. That's where I was going to make the most amount of money. That's where the people did make the most amount of money. The Chevy store. Why? Because they had the most traffic and the best leadership on that drive. The people that worked there made more money. It was a winning team. You have to prove to them that you're the Yankees, you're the Rams, you're the Penske racing team. Because the best of the best, they don't want to go to a place that's weak, where they can't get money, can't make money. They have to fight the advisors, they have to fight parts, they have to fight management and all that stuff. They want to go to a proven winner so they can come in and take all of their investment, all their time, all the effort they put into being the best factory trained technician or otherwise technician on the planet. They want to make sure they're rewarded for that, and they're going to seek out the winning team. So how do you prove to them you have a winning team? You tell them this. If you come to work with us, Here's what we have to offer you. Not only all these things that technicians do, but we have a service advisor team that averages at least 2.5 hours per repair order, including oil changes and customer pay. 2.5 hours. We have an advisor team that has a 92 to 95% effective labor rate. No discounting. That's what you're telling them. We have a service advisor team that gets perfect and near perfect survey scores every month and has for years. We've got an advisor team that has a customer retention rating of 85% or higher. And here's the thing that's best about us. We have a service advisor team that is so good at what they do, we have virtually no heat cases. And the thing that technicians like about us the best, and advisors like about us the best, and everybody that works here likes about us the best, there's almost zero turnover. That's what you tell them. But wait a minute, Jeff. Wait a minute, Jeff. I can't say that. We don't have all those things. We don't have 2.5. We don't have 92% effective labor rate. We don't have near perfect survey scores. We don't have 85% customer retention. We have more than our fair share of heat, and we have plenty of turnover. That's why we're always looking for techs. I mean, I can't tell them that. You may not be able to tell them that today, but you can 90 days if you take this one step and you do it. And you know what? This is going to sound like I'm doing an advertisement, but I'm not. I'll even say this. With this suggestion I'm going to give you, whether you use me or one of my competitors, I mean, do this and you will be successful. Now, I'll get it done for you the best, but here's what you're going to do. You're going to have to spend some money. Ask yourself, how much money do you spend trying to get the best techs? How much time do you waste trying to get the best techs? What if you took that money? What if you took $25,000, $30,000, $35,000, $40,000 and you invested it into your service advisor team and you trained them? You know, because I've said this all the time. I've yet to step on a service drive anywhere that can't do 2.5 hours per repair order, including oil changes. I've yet to step on one that's not capable of doing at least 92 to 95% effective labor rate. I've yet to step on the one that can't get perfect survey scores. I've yet to step on the one that can't get 85%. I can't yet step on one that doesn't have to have heat. I mean, if you want to be able to advertise this, then you have to have a staff that does it. And the only reason they're not doing it now is for three reasons. They're not trained, you don't know how to lead, and you're not holding them accountable to do. If you have trained them, you're not holding them accountable to do what you've told them in the training. It's that simple. You've got to invest. If you're going to invest, why invest the money trying to find these technicians and give them the money? Why not invest in the thing that's going to draw them in? Advisors that can sell and handle customers. That's what the best techs want. They want to work in a place that where if I go out and I inspect the car and I give it to an advisor, there's a bigger chance they're going to sell everything that I recommend than not. That's what the best of the best are looking for. They want to be on a winning team, and a winning team has those numbers, and your advisors can too if you're willing to invest the money, if you're willing to lead them, and if you're willing to hold them accountable to the process. And it can happen in 90 days, because I've yet to meet a service advisor that didn't want to be successful, but I've met thousands that didn't know how. I was just in a workshop here recently, a private workshop I was doing over in Wisconsin. A young girl comes in, she sits through the workshop. When she came in, she was at 1.45. The next 2 days, she went back to her drive, and she was averaging on those 2 days 2.1. That was actually 2 months ago. I called that dealer earlier this week. As a matter of fact, yesterday, I called him earlier this week, and I said, is she maintaining it? He said she's not only maintaining it, she's increased it by another 2/10, 2.3. Why? Because they invested the money to have me come out and do a workshop. Why? Because they're holding her accountable to do what I was taught in the workshop. Why? Because they're leaders. And it's just not her. They said as a group, and they've got 9 stores, they're up over 5/10. Now, they're backing that workshop up with our virtual training, okay? But 5/10, and it happened like that. I mean, like that. So you invest a little bit of money, you can make that happen. Now, let me just share with you, because people, times are tough, and they've got bad economy going on, and inflation, and nobody's going to happen, and the stock market's dropping, and this is happening, that happening, gas costs $1 billion a gallon. We don't have that $20,000, that $30,000, that $40,000, $50,000, depending on how many locations you have, to do workshops, to have a trainer come in, to use your virtual training. We don't have that kind of investment. Well, let's talk about that. Because you're probably going to spend close to $20,000 or $30,000, $40,000 finding the techs you want and still not have advisors that they can sell. So let's just take a look at this. Let's say that you train your advisors and you get them 5/10. All right? Now let's just start out with 1.3, because the average advisor today, the national average is 1.3, right? 1.3 hours per repair order, including oil. So write this down, okay? let's just say that your labor rate's $100. Yours is probably higher, it could be lower, but let's just say $100. So if you divide that by 1/10, that's a $10 increase per repair order. Now, my training within 5 days, and like you saw at the workshop, that girl in 2 days, gets you 5/10. So if you multiply that $10 times 5/10, it's now $50 increase per repair order. You take that $50 increase per repair order, you multiply it times the 15 repair orders the average advisor writes today on a service drive daily, that's a $750 increase per day per advisor. You take that $750 per advisor per day, and you multiply it times 23 work days, assuming you're open on Saturday, you now have an increase of $17,250 per advisor per month. If you take that $17,250 and multiply it times the 4 advisors, because that's what the average store has, is an average of 4 advisors, that's an increase of $69,000 increase per month. And you multiply that $69,000 times 12 months, and it now comes out to be $828,000 increase per year before parts. Throw in parts, you're now looking at over what are you looking at? $1.65 million a year. Now, let's assume that you've got one store and you decide that you want to have us come in, you want to do a virtual training, you want us to do the quarterly visits, and let's say that you invest $30,000, $40,000 doing that. You subtract that from $1.65 million, that leaves you with $1.61 million. Now show me where you can take that kind of money and invest it and get that kind of return that quick. And I want you to think about this as you're thinking about that. It's $1.6 million for the first 5/10. Now, you'll notice a second ago I said if you take that money, invest in us coming in, and we're there for 2 or 3 visits, and we get you another 5/10. So the first time we did, just to get you 1.6, we went from 1.3 to 1.8 hours. We keep working with you. We keep developing your skill, your team, their skill level. We put another 5/10 on there, take you up to 2.3. We're now talking about $3.2 million. Throw another 3/10 on top of that, you're now talking well over $4 million a year. Now let me ask you again, for $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 investment, where are you going to get that kind of return? And even if I'm half right, just on the 5/10 and it's not 3.2 million including parts, but it's 1.6 million, where can you go invest that kind of money and get that kind of return? But here's the thing. So I mean, the money's not the issue. The issue is you. Are you willing to do what every business person knows you have to do to make money? And how do you make money? You spend money, invest money to make money. Are you willing to invest the money? Are you willing to lead your people? Are you willing to hold them accountable to be the best? Because if you are, we can take this tech question and we can put it to bed forever. Because then you can run an ad that says, we have 2.5, we have 92%, we have perfect survey scores, we have 85% customer retention, we have no heat, and we have no turnover, and the best of the best that want to play on the best team are going to come to you, and they're going to knock on your door and ask if they can join your team. Now, I've set this up in many dealerships over the years, and I can give you a list of people you can call that for the last 25 years, and using what I just said, doing exactly what I just said, last 25 years have not had to run one tech ad because techs go to them and want to work for them because word's out where they are in their community that if you're going to turn wrenches and you want to make money and you want to be the best of the best, then the best team is to go to that one. It's real simple. You can either buy techs or you can attract techs. That's what I'm talking about. So, you know, this question that we get all the time, over and over and over, I've been given this answer, and so many of you look back at me and you say, well, Jeff, you know, I don't know that I want to make that investment. Jeff, I don't know if we have the leader. And Jeff, I don't know if I can hold my person accountable. If you don't have the money to investigate your team to be the best, then sell the place. If you don't have a leader standing there that can lead your people, then replace that leader. And if you can't hold them accountable, find somebody that will. The solution is that simple. You either buy techs or you attract techs. And the way you attract techs is you make sure you have advisors that can get the numbers and ensure that if I'm a technician, I come and work for you, I'm on the best of the best team, and I'm going to have the best opportunity for myself and my family and get the maximum lifestyle possible out of the investment I made myself to master this craft of being a master technician. Now, I know I got a little excited there. I know I did. But you know, you're the ones that call up all the time asking these questions. What kills me is when we and people like me give you solutions, so many of you try to excuse yourself out of it. But just again, real quick, 3-step process. Thinking long term. Step number 1, we're going to start recruiting them from junior high and high school. Step 2, we're going to show them what we have to offer them. And step 3, we're going to prove to them that we have the best team in the area. We've got the best advisors, the best leadership. We hold people accountable, and we are number 1. If you want to be on the number 1 team, come play with us. You can buy techs or you can attract them. I suggest you attract them. Hey, my name is Jeff Cowan, and that's my message for today. I'll be back next week with another one. If you like this one, you're going to love next week's, because I already know what it's going to be. So with that, I want you to do me a favor. I want you to go out. I want you to have the absolute best week you can have. Hold your head up. Things are going great. Everything's going to be just perfect for you. I want you to go out and help as many customers as you can and make as much money as you can so you can have the lifestyle that you deserve, because between now and next week, that is exactly what I'm going to do. So with that, Jeff Cowan here, the person that's trained more service advisors than anybody else on the planet, signing off. God bless you all. I will see you next week. Take care.